towering, unmoving figure. And then, just when no one expected it, the impossible happened. The royal guard, a symbol of unwavering discipline and tradition, did something no one in the crowd could have predicted. With precise, deliberate motion, he stepped off his post. Gasps rippled through the air like a sudden gust of wind. The crowd fell into stunned silence, eyes widening as the soldier, clad in his immaculate red tunic and tall bearskin hat, began striding directly toward Liam. For a moment, even the rude man stood frozen, his smug expression flickering with uncertainty. No one had ever seen a guard break formation like this. It was almost unheard of. Tourists clutched their phones, capturing what would soon become a moment spoken of for years to come. The guard's polished boots crunched against the gravel with each deliberate step. His imposing figure cast a shadow over the very man who had just mocked him. But he didn't stop there. He walked right past the cameraman, straight to Liam. Then, in an act so simple yet so profound, he bent down to Liam's level. The little boy's breath hitched. He stared up, eyes glistening, unable to believe what was happening. The guard, still stoic but no longer distant, reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a shining silver emblem. With a steady hand, he placed it into Liam's palm and, in a deep yet gentle voice, said, "For you, young man, a soldier's courage." The crowd erupted in murmurs, some blinking back tears, others still frozen in sheer disbelief. Liam's tiny fingers curled around the emblem, his heart pounding. The guard gave him the slightest nod, just enough to let him know that, in that moment, he was seen, he was valued. And just like that, with the same quiet dignity, the guard rose back to his feet, turned on his heel, and marched back to his post, returning to his statue-like stillness as if nothing had happened at all. But something had changed. The air felt different. The moment had touched everyone. People turned to Liam with smiles, some patting his mother on the back, others wiping their eyes at the sheer beauty of it all. As for the rude man, he shrank back, suddenly all too aware of how small he looked compared to the soldier's silent act of kindness. Without another word, he slung his camera bag over his shoulder and disappeared into the dispersing crowd. Liam, still gripping the emblem, beamed up at his mother. "Did you see that?" he whispered, his voice trembling with excitement. She knelt beside him, pressing a kiss to his forehead. "I did, sweetheart. I saw everything." And in that unforgettable moment, Liam knew he hadn't just seen a royal guard. He had witnessed true honor. Gaze toward the grand palace gates. It was a silent acknowledgement, an unspoken agreement that, just this once, duty and kindness could exist side by side. The first guard, still towering yet impossibly gentle in that moment, extended a gloved hand, pointing subtly toward the ceremonial grounds beyond. "Take a good look, young sir," he said, his voice steady but warm. "This moment belongs to you." Liam's breath hitched. His wide eyes darted between the soldier and the regal backdrop of Buckingham Palace. The very place he had dreamed of seeing up close was now not just a distant spectacle, but a moment he had become a part of. His fingers, still gripping the emblem the guard had gifted him, trembled with emotion. The crowd, completely entranced, moved as if in slow motion. Phones were lifted, capturing what felt like history being rewritten in real time. Whispers of admiration rippled through the sea of onlookers. Even the rude man, who had once bullied his way to the front, seemed utterly diminished. His earlier arrogance had drained from his face, replaced with an awkward, almost guilty expression. He shifted uneasily, as if he had just realized that, in this grand display of honor and humanity, he had played the role of the villain. With a stiff nod, he turned on his heel and disappeared into the dispersing throng, leaving no more than a bitter echo of his presence. Liam, however, hardly noticed. His focus was entirely on the guard standing before him. He swallowed hard, summoning the courage to say the words that had been forming in his heart. "Thank you," he whispered, "for everything." The guard's lips pressed into the smallest hint of a smile, so subtle that only those paying close attention would catch it. With one final nod, he straightened his posture, adjusted his rifle, and marched back into position. The weight of tradition settled back upon him like an unbreakable shield. But everyone knew. Everyone had seen. For the first time, Buckingham Palace had witnessed a royal guard stepping beyond his rigid role, not with defiance, but with quiet heroism. As Liam's mother knelt beside him, brushing a stray tear from his cheek, she smiled through her own misty eyes. "You got your picture, sweetheart," she whispered. Liam grinned, holding the emblem close to his heart. "Yeah," he breathed. "And so much more." With that, the ceremony resumed as if nothing out of the ordinary had occurred. But in the hearts of those who had been there, that single moment, where honor met compassion, would never be forgotten. The crowd that had gathered at Buckingham Palace had come expecting to witness a time-honored tradition, the changing of the guard, a flawless display of discipline, precision, and regal splendor. But that day, they saw something far more powerful. They saw a moment of human connection that no one could have predicted. As Liam's wheelchair was gently guided closer to the barricade, the tension that had gripped the courtyard only moments before gave way to something entirely different: admiration, warmth, and a wave of quiet applause. What had started as a confrontation had transformed into an unforgettable act of kindness. The second guard, the one who had approached with a look of concern, now stood to the side, offering no reprimand, no interference, only silent approval. It was as if the very institution, bound by centuries of tradition, had, for just this once, acknowledged that humanity could stand above protocol. Liam's mother, overwhelmed with gratitude, pressed a hand to her chest. Her eyes shimmered with unspoken emotion as she mouthed a soft, "Thank you," to the soldier who had made her son's dream come true. Though the guard remained expressionless, the faintest glint in his eyes betrayed the truth. This moment mattered to him, too. The ceremony continued, its grandeur undisturbed, but now with one additional observer who, for the first time, could truly see it all. From the rhythmic stomping of polished boots to the synchronized movements of the soldiers, Liam took in every detail, his face alight with the kind of joy only a child could possess. The mother whispered a few more words of thanks, her voice thick with emotion. The guard, ever disciplined, merely gave the smallest nod, just enough to acknowledge that he had heard, that he had understood. And then, across the courtyard, the man who had caused all the trouble tried to make his exit. But he wouldn't be leaving unnoticed. A few palace officials intercepted him before he could disappear into the sea of tourists. His arrogant swagger had vanished, replaced by something else: shame. He muttered an apology, but no one paid much attention to him anymore. The crowd had already moved on, their focus now solely on Liam and the guard who had chosen kindness over rigidity. As the final movements of the changing of the guard played out flawlessly, it became clear no rule had been officially broken, and yet everyone who had witnessed the exchange knew otherwise. This was a moment that had reshaped what people believed about duty, tradition, and compassion. Once the ceremony ended, the guard did something else unexpected. Instead of immediately returning to his post, he took a final step toward Liam, ensuring that the boy and his mother had a clear path to leave. The small gesture did not go unnoticed. Onlookers snapped pictures and recorded videos, their social media captions capturing the heart of what had just unfolded. Royal Guard breaks protocol to help a little boy in a wheelchair, heartwarming moment at Buckingham Palace. As Liam and his mother prepared to leave, the guard gave him one last salute. The little boy, eyes shining with wonder, eagerly returned the gesture by lifting his small Union Jack flag high into the air. His mother, still overwhelmed by everything that had happened, mouthed another soft "thank you." The guard remained silent, standing tall and immovable once again, but for those who had been there, he was no longer just a nameless figure in uniform. He was a symbol of something far greater. Then, something truly remarkable happened. The crowd, unprompted, burst into spontaneous applause, not for the grandeur of the ceremony, not for the changing of posts, but for what they had just witnessed, a moment of true compassion within a world governed by rigid tradition. For a fleeting instant, Buckingham Palace did not feel like just an impersonal monument of monarchy. It felt like the sight of something deeply human. That evening, the moment spread like wildfire. Videos of the encounter flooded the internet, racking up millions of views within mere hours. News outlets picked up the story, praising the soldier for his extraordinary kindness. Some debated whether the guard had technically broken protocol, whether such actions should be allowed within such a disciplined institution. But despite all the discussion, one sentiment remained universal: the world needed more moments like this. At home, safe and sound, Liam clutched his mother's phone and replayed the footage over and over. His smile never faded. When asked how he felt about everything that had happened, his answer was simple, yet profound: "I've never felt more seen." The next day, palace officials released a brief statement acknowledging the event. While reaffirming the importance of discipline and tradition, they also recognized that in extraordinary circumstances, compassion could be just as vital. It was an unexpected but powerful moment of reflection, not just for Buckingham Palace, but for the millions around the world who had witnessed the story unfold. Because at the end of the day, what had happened was more than just an unusual event. It was a reminder that kindness, pure, simple, and unwavering, can transcend even the oldest of rules. That a single decision, made in the name of humanity, can ripple outwards and inspire millions. And if a soldier, bound by centuries of discipline, could kneel for a child in need, what else could be possible? For those who had gathered at Buckingham Palace that day, the story would be one they'd tell for years to come. But for Liam, it was so much more. It was the day his dream came true. The day he saw that heroes do exist, not just in stories, but in real life. The day an unmovable guard moved, just for him. So, what do you think? Was it worth it for the guard to bend the rules for a child with a heartfelt wish? Do you believe that sometimes compassion should come before tradition? Let us know in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration today. And if you're ready for another incredible moment, stick around, because in our next video, you won't believe what happened when a tourist tried to outmarch a royal guard during a parade. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a story that reminds us of the power of kindness. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.